He grew up in Binghamton and has since traveled the world. I have with me today the world-renowned Courtney Franklin, bridging the gap when God calls you back.
Bridging. Generation gaps, socioeconomic gaps, gender gaps, cultural gaps. Bridging gaps that cause confusion, division, and chaos in today's society. And now, let's join our moderator, host, and guest for another provocative episode of Bridging.
So today I have with me Courtney Franklin, world-renowned, and the crowd goes wild.
You're too kind. You're too kind. You're too kind.
No, you're used to that, though. You're used to that. Standing ovations, packing out houses. That's what you're used to. I wish we had an audience here right now that could just stand to their feet and give you the honor that you deserve. Oh, my gosh. I'm so happy to have you here.
Well,
okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Let's talk a little bit about, first, who you are and what you do, just in case some of the viewers don't know. Courtney Franklin.
So I am a little boy from Timacove Apartments in Binghamton, Tennessee. I have been blessed to matriculate college a few times and travel and sing and preach and all of that. So I'm excited. I'm a husband. I'm a dad. Those are my most proud accomplishments. And I am a pastor. And I'm looking forward to those things that are next along my journey toward destiny.
All right. So let's talk about the singing. So you just glossed over that. I sing, but you've been singing for how long?
I started to sing. My mom and them say little, but I don't like to just be typical. So I can remember leading a song at 5.
5 years
and 5 years old, actually, and at church. And then when I was in first grade, my first grade teacher was, in my opinion, she was a trendsetter because everything we did was to music. And so she wrote songs for everything that we learned. Wow. And back then, there was no such thing as an elementary student changing classes. We were inclusive, but she made it musical the entire day. And so she picked up on my voice and started making me sing in front of the class to launch the day. And so it was then, I think I was 16 or 7, maybe, something like that. But that's when I kind of figured out I could sing. And then when I got to the second grade, that teacher was my performing arts person at the school as well. And so she had me singing everything, plays in front of the building, in front of the school, all the programs, national anthem, everything. So yeah, back to 6, between 5 and 7 is when I launched singing. 5
and 7. Okay, so I'm going to say a few names, and I want you to tell me what these names mean to you, okay? You had no idea that I did no research on you, okay? I'm going to say Craig Brewer. Okay. So, that's from Hustle and Flow, right? He gave money.
Craig Brewer, yes.
He gave money to a certain organization. Julia Russell, Ron Pope. Are these names ringing a bell to you yet? Echoes of Truth.
Actually, Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Actually, Craig Brewer directed the camp for a couple of summers. And so I was one of the staff teachers in that program when he was the director. And I got a chance to work with him for 2 years. He's brilliant, nice guy, just as nice as he appears on social media. He is, off social media, very unassuming, down to earth, but super creative. And it was very fun working with Craig Brewer. And Julia helped raise me. Ron Pope was the director, department head, whatever it was for that program. And he really pumped the money in it. Ron pumped the money in it, and Julia had the brainchild, and Craig was one of the directors of it. Yeah. It was a fun time for me. Echoes of Truth.
I don't know what we're talking about, but Echoes of Truth was a Renaissance approach to creative arts for students who were at risk in Memphis, Tennessee, and you had a hand in that, and you were part of that program for how many years?
So I was a part of it from year one as a student.
Okay.
And then I matriculated to become a teacher in it. So actually, I started with blues camp, which was on the campus of Colonial Middle School, and then we moved to Overton High School, and then we did Central High School. I'm sorry, Colonial. No, I started with Arts Camp. I'm mixing it up. I started with Arts Camp, 1991. Wow. It was at Colonial Middle School. It was Julia's baby. Arts Camp was her baby as well. And then we went to Overton High School with Arts Camp because it got so big. And then we launched Blues Camp, which was at Central High School. And my godmother, Flo Roach, was the director for Blues Camp. She directed some arts camps programs as well, but she directed Blues Camp and she directed Echoes. And then we started Echoes. By the time we started Echoes, I came in as a teacher. I wasn't a student anymore. So Arts Camp and Blues Camp, I was a student. Echoes, I had become a teacher. So I've been doing it since 1991.
And this camp, this performing arts camp got so big that you would have to perform at the Orpheum. So those students had an opportunity to perform at the Orpheum, which, big names are on the Orpheum stage, but y'all packed it out every summer for these huge productions for these children.
Absolutely. I mean, they were huge productions, and we had a chance to learn what a union representative was and how the rules of the house were, and how to promote a show. I mean, every component of the arts and entertainment. We worked with Mary Unofsky, who was a Grammy award-winning songwriter. We worked with Willard Pugh, who was in The Color Purple, played as Harpo in The Color Purple. He was one of our liaisons every summer, and he even directed a couple of shows. And we got a chance to work with Tavita Williams-Dumas, amazing Alvin Ailey trained dancer. So it was just a lot of who's who came through and some of the brightest names in music today came through that camp.
Wow, including yourself.
Well,
including yourself, because
there's some.
So you grew up in Binghamton, but you have traveled the world, literally traveled the world, have been on some of the best stages ever, but yet you come back to Memphis to give your talent, to lend your heart and your passion right here. So let me ask you, with everything you've done in singing, I know you're doing something else now. What do you like more, singing or preaching?
Oh, on any day, preaching.
Preaching.
I am unapologetically a preacher that sings, in that order. I have many friends that are singers that preach, but I am the reverse. So wake me up at 2:00 in the morning. If I have to choose between a sermon and a song, the sermon is going to
Mm-hmm. I can see that. I've listened to your songs, and they're not just songs. They are sermons put to music. How long have you been in ministry? Because go ahead.
Actually, I'm going to answer that question that you're going to ask with telling you how I came, because it's all a bridge. Mm-hmm. I preached my first sermon in 1998. But the way I discovered that God was calling me to preach, of course, people had prophesied it when I was a child, but my pastor at the time called me in the office to correct me. And it was nice. It was in love, because I was singing too long on Sunday. And so he was saying, son, you sing one song 30 minutes. You know, we don't have that kind of time. He said, I believe God's calling you to preach, and you're trying to preach it out in the song. Mm-hmm. And so I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, that may be kind of true, because these were turning into Bible lessons in the song, you know. And so he counseled me some more, and you know, he talked to me some more. And in 1998, I preached my very first sermon. In 1999, I was licensed and ordained as a minister.
Wow. And throughout ministry, what has been your most memorable moment in ministry?
Actually, this is going to be unorthodox, because that's who I am.
We got an unorthodox show. Bring it.
In 2003, I stood on the steps of the Vatican in Rome, and I sang before the Pope. Wow. And I could tell that he was touched by my presentation, and many people. I mean, I still to this day have never ministered in front of a crowd. It was an outdoor event on Christmas Eve. And as far as my eyes could see, there were thousands. I don't know how many, so I'm not going to make up a number, but the people were so far back, they started looking like little bugs. That's how far they went back. And they were coming to me and saying how they enjoyed it, and they had tears in their eyes, and they were asking, could they shake my hand? And it was a powerful, powerful moment. And we shared the stage that night with Lauryn Hill, Pavarotti, Billy Joel, and Billy Preston. And I was with a group, Alabama A&M University. I was producing their album, and they were touring Europe, Italy specifically, to promote the album. And I led a song as, you know, the producer that was there with them. And so that was just my most memorable. I've never seen people just so moved by the anointing, unassuming, you know, no CDs, no who are you, no, they didn't know who I was, but it was a powerful time. Yeah, it was a powerful time.
So let me ask you this, because I'm a visualizer, and I just visualize that whole moment. And then I'm here talking to you, and you don't have a big head. You're not like,
well, not where I come from.
You're not like, oh, I'm greater than thou. You know what I mean? Because I'm going to just say this, I'm going to be honest. If I had sang on the steps of the Vatican, I would be feeling some, you know, I'll be feeling some type of way at least 2 days out the week. But you're like this all the time.
I have, yeah. I have a personal philosophy.
Okay.
I try to keep people around me, and I want you to hear what I'm saying metaphorically. I try to keep people around me that are not impressed with the sugar in my life, right? Mm-hmm. And they keep me grounded. Like, you know, I remember when you didn't have this, you hadn't sung nowhere, so don't get wonderful. And I've always had that. And plus, where I grew up, that was just not the culture of our neighborhood. We didn't have much, right? So Penny Hardaway grew up 3 doors down from me. Right. And we watched him come into great success and great wealth and prominence, and he never changed. So I had examples like that before me that were, you know, exposed and cultured and traveled and had opportunities, but they didn't change. So it was like, there's a paradigm set you don't get to do it either. And it just became the culture. My mother, I must stop and say this. My mother, we grew up in Tillman Cove Apartments, but my mother taught at Lester Elementary for 27 years. Mm-hmm. My mother, with 3 degrees, would walk from the school across the street to her 2-bedroom apartment where we lived. And my mom just felt like she needed to live in the community that she was called to serve. We couldn't afford to live somewhere else. Right. But that's the kind of example I had. Right. So my mama, straight out of high school, went to TSU, got her bachelor's, went back to Trevecca, got a master's, went back and got 45 hours above that, went back and got an administration certification, but she never changed. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. She never changed. So that was my example. Then my baby sister came behind me. She's an attorney. She is a district attorney in Florida, but she's the same way. If you were just talking to her, you would not know her degree set. She's fluent Asian. She speaks 2 or 3 different Asian languages. Just as humble, nice, unassuming, kind, sweet, laid back. So that's just our pedigree. That's just how we are.
Yeah, and it shows, and I'm going to tell you, it's appreciative. It's appreciative that you don't, put yourself on a pedestal, because you are very, very approachable. And you talked about Lester Elementary. So Lester Elementary, where your mom worked, is in Binghamton, where you grew up. And it is also in Binghamton where you are launching your new church, the Power Spot. Woo! So let's talk about the Power Spot for 1 second. But before we talk about the Power Spot, I want to ask you, if you weren't pastoring, because you are an amazing singer. Let's get that. I'm gonna play some of your music when we're done. But you're an amazing singer. If you weren't pastoring, what would you be doing?
If I was not pastoring, without a doubt, I would be a principal. Maybe even a superintendent.
You just blew my head. I thought you would say singing. Like that comes second name.
Oh, no.
Principal.
If I wasn't pastoring, I would be. I love it. So really? I did 17 years in the public system. I love it. I love it. My last 7 years in the district, I was a dean of students. I worked in the charter program. And seeing those kids' lives change and have a daddy figure that they've never had, and someone who's not impressed with the sugar in their lives to say, all right, you're a great basketball player, but you have a 2.4 GPA, and that's not cute. And so before you go to practice, you're going to come to my office, and we're going to go. I love that kind of stuff. And the parents, seeing somebody to fill a void that the kids had that they didn't have at home, and helping kids buy prom dresses and get ready for events and go over their speeches with them to make sure they were articulating and engaging the audience. I miss those times. All right. And only God
to lean in, because now you're talking my language, because I've been a principal. I've been an administrator and did research and been in the school system. Matter of fact, I'm back in the school system. But what you're talking about is the father figure that our kids need and that they desire, because they do need strong male positive, not just strong males in their life. We got to add the strong male positive figures in their life.
So true.
You are that. All right. So if you weren't pastoring,
I'm gonna tell you one of my most rewarding times, and it happens often actually, is when I look up and I'm preaching at my church and I see some of my old students in the audience that I have not talked to since they graduated, that I have not seen. They just found my church. And I would say, if I had 20,000 kids within my career, 9,000 of them call me daddy. Wow. Of their own free will. Wow. Right. And when I see them, it's still pops. It's still daddy. It's nothing has changed about it. So I have several that have joined our church and gotten married, and that I knew when they were kids. And now they have husband and wife and kids that are a part of our church. And those are the most rewarding times for me. And it's proof that it was time for me to walk away from the district, which was a challenge. Now, let me say this, because you were a principal. I was a minister of music at a prominent church here. I was an assistant principal, dean of students at my school, and I was a deep six-figure man, because that, on top of traveling and singing and preaching, we were living fine.
Right.
And God says, walk away from all of it and start the church.
How did you reconcile that?
I said, Satan, the Lord rebuke you. Come out the mind. With devil, loose your hope. My head.
You're like, I'm hearing things.
It's like this. Who? God, who? Not the God. I said, I have a new wife.
Right.
I have a new house. I have a new baby. We have new cars. Oh, no. You're not talking to me. Loose your devil.
But you did it, though.
I did it because God would not relent. Listen, for 2.5 years, you can wake my wife up at 3 a.m. She can tell you our slogan. For 2.5 years, I lived by this slogan. Every month, God does it. And if you ask me right now how I had a home in Cordova with nice cars and with no set income, my church still right now cannot give me a salary. Right. But every month, somebody called me to preach or produce or sing or be a clinician or counsel or do a virtual voice lesson. I mean, every month.
Right.
And we're going into the 5th year of this, and every single month he does it.
So I did a show on God making room for your gifts, and that is exactly the example. You have gifts and talents that God took and used every single month to make it happen for you. Okay, but let's talk about the power spot. I want to hear about the power spot. What's going on? And we're going to put up a flyer because you have a new project that you're working on. Tell us about that.
I am. So, 4 years as a church, we've first of all, we've been burned. We have horror stories about buildings, right? So our first building, when we launched the church, the very first Sunday, we had our own building. And matter of fact, I was coming out of the school system. I had saved $10,000 in my savings account. I used $9,000 of that to fix up our new building. Because we were going to trust God. We believe in Jesus. And we did. We fixed up the building. The people came. We had almost 200 people our first Sunday. But the men would have to commit to coming to our church and being spiritually empowered as they are being economically empowered, so that they can be transitioned back into society without a scarlet letter on their back. We also have something I'm very proud of, because I'm a product of a single parent. We also have a food pantry at our church, but it is exclusively for single mothers. So if you're married, our church is not the church to come and just get food. That's not how God gave it to me.
Right.
Our pantry is for single mothers that have no food, and we're gonna service them. So it's several things that I'm just very, very, very excited about implementing.
Pastor Courtney Franklin, your heart is huge, and I want to just say this to our viewers, and they've probably heard it before, that ministry is not free. Ministry takes money. You have to put food in the food industry to give to the single moms. Ain't no food stork coming down just laying food in the pantry. People have to buy this. And a lot of times you can ask for donations, but then donations run out, and the church has to come up with the money to keep the programs running. The incentive room, as an educator, I know, just having the incentive room, you're going to need money for that as well. But first, let's get some money in here for this building to get completed. Let's get this building completed so that church can start and worship can continue to happen and these programs can continue to roll on. So let me ask you, how can someone sow into the power spot?
To date, right now, this very second, we still have a $7,000 deficit, right? From 20,000. So I'm grateful, although all the money's not there, but people have given $13,000. That's a lot of money.
Man.
But if you want to sow, we have a cash app, $ Power Pledges, PLEDGES. Or if you don't want to do cash app Power Pledge, $ Power Pledges, you can give through PayPal. And that is Power Spot Launch, LAUNCH.
We're gonna put all of that
gmail.com.
Those donation links will be put up at the end of the show. And let me ask you this: how can people get in touch with you? Are you able to give out the address, or you just want to wait, or what?
So if you want to, no, I don't mind giving the address. We've already bought an alarm system and a camera system. So if they come there with ill intentions, we're going to see who it is. So our address is 3382 Summer Avenue.
All right, 3382.
3382 Summer Avenue. If you want to reach me personally on Facebook, we have a Power Spot page. So you can go in there and leave a message, comment, like, or my personal page is Courtney C. Franklin. That is COURTNEY. On Instagram, I am the Courtney Franklin. And I also have a website, thecourtneyfranklin.com. So you can reach me either of those ways.
Thank you so much. I know that the money is going to come in, and I will be visiting the Power Spot.
Hallelujah.
Because I'm not far from there. So thank you for the invitation.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here. And I am so
thank you to
interview you today. And I'm going to let our viewers hear one of your special songs on our way out. So thank you for coming and joining me today on Bridges. I'm Dr. Mel, where we talk to real people about real issues and we come up with real solutions. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Doc. You too.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.